Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to my kitchen for another video. So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to make sauerkraut. So first I'm going to show you the most basic, easiest way to make it, and then I'll share with you some things that you can add to it to make it even more flavorful and benefit your health and digestion even more. So you guys that follow my channel or follow me on Instagram and watch my stories, you'll see that I put sauerkraut on a lot of my meals. And it's because not only is it just delicious, but it also is really good for our gut microbiome, our beneficial gut bacteria. And the thing with sauerkraut is, in order for it to be beneficial to our gut, we really want to buy unpasteurized sauerkraut. And I know some of you have reached out to me and been like, Derek, I cannot find unpasteurized sauerkraut in the stores. All they have is the pasteurized kind. So I thought it'd be a fun video to share with you guys how to make it, because then you can control what goes into it, you can flavor it just how you want it, and then you know 100% it is unpasteurized. So sauerkraut uses what's called lacto-fermentation, and no, that doesn't mean that it uses any milk or dairy to do the fermenting. It's actually called that after the name of the bacteria that does a lot of the work, and that's called lactobacillus. And interestingly enough, it already exists on the leaves of cabbage. It exists in lots of places in nature, but the nice thing is that it's already on the cabbage, so you don't have to add anything to get it to start fermenting. You just have to create the right environment in order for it to proliferate and grow, and also to stop any other microbes from growing. So that's what I'm going to be showing you guys how to do here today. So it's really simple. All you really need is some cabbage and salt. And I guess like a knife to chop it with and a container to put it in, but you guys know what I mean. Traditionally, this was done to preserve the cabbage and also provide a source of vitamin C when fresh fruits and vegetables might not have been available, like through long winter months. So yeah, this wasn't supposed to be like a history lesson on sauerkraut. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of the backstory on it here. So let's start making it now. Before you start, you want to make sure that everything is really clean. It doesn't need to be sterile like when you're canning stuff, but it definitely needs to be really clean. You don't want to wash the cabbage though, since the good stuff that's on the leaves is what we actually want. So just peel back the outer layers and you're ready to go with the cabbage.
You also want to put a few of these nice big cabbage leaves aside because we're going to be using them at the end, and I'll show you guys why when we get there. Just don't forget to put some aside.
So when I make sauerkraut, I like to choose red cabbage because it's higher in antioxidants than normal cabbage, and it just looks beautiful and is bound to get you quite a few more likes on Instagram. So just for that alone, it's definitely worth it. So the first thing you want to do is to thinly slice the cabbage. So you can use a knife to do this, just make sure that it's nice and thin and uniform. However, I'm going to be using this mandolin slicer here since it speeds things up so much. Just be careful of your fingers. Now that this is all sliced up, we want to add some salt. So you generally want it to be 2 to 3% salt by weight. And that works out to be 3 to 4 teaspoons per pound of cabbage. And ideally you want to weigh your cabbage before you do all this. However, I don't have a kitchen scale, so I kind of did some Googling and I found out that a medium-sized cabbage head is generally 2 to 2.5 pounds. And that was an especially big cabbage head that I had there. However, I didn't use all of it. There's still this much left over. So I would say that it was probably close to the 2.5 pounds that we have here. So I'm going to be adding, carry the one, between 7.5 and 10 teaspoons of salt. So I have pink Himalayan salt on hand, just because I'm fancy like that, but you can use any salt. It doesn't have to be this. So I added 8 teaspoons there. It should be good for this amount. So this is a step you do not want to miss, or you don't want to skimp on, because what the salt does is it inhibits other microbes from growing and spoiling your sauerkraut. However, it allows the lactobacillus bacteria to flourish.
So just a quick note as I'm editing here, I do think that ended up being a bit too much salt for the amount of cabbage that I had sliced there. But I did end up slicing the rest of that head and adding it to this, and it ended up working out perfectly. So don't be like me, do weigh your cabbage. You want to make sure with the ratios.
So next you just want to mash it together until the cabbage starts to let go of its liquid. So you could either use a potato masher for this if you want, or you could just use your hands. So the salt also helps to dry out some of the liquid as well. This is probably the hardest part of the whole process, but it'll be worth it. Hey, Mom.
Hello.
How's it going?
How are you?
Yeah, actually, I'm just making sauerkraut for a video, but I can chat for a sec. What's up?
Okay.
So I actually ended up making a little bit more because once I was like working with my hands, it started to wilt down like quite a lot. So I wanted enough to fill 2 mason jars so that I could show you guys the 2 different types, the one simple one and then one with a few extra things in it. So if I move some of this to the side here, you can see how much liquid there is. And this is what you want, if not more liquid, but my hands got tired. So now the hard part is done, and all you want to do is just fill up a mason jar or some kind of container. Alright, so now that you have the mason jar all full, this is where this little piece comes in handy that we saved from earlier. So you want to cut out a round piece about the size of the top of the mason jar. So I'm just going to use this other wide mouth mason jar for a general sort of guide. It doesn't have to be exact. Alright, so now with this little circle of cabbage, you're going to want to place this inside of here. But first, what I like to do is to press it all down, get all the air bubbles out. If you want, you can add a little bit more of the cabbage. Whoa, almost overflowed. Alright, so this is actually looking really good. So one of the keys is that you want the cabbage to be fully submerged in water. You don't want any of the cabbage to be exposed to air. So that's where this lid is going to come into handy. However, if the liquid isn't up high enough, what you can do is you can add some filtered water to it in order to get it up to the level that you need it. But I think this is going to be just fine. If you see how much liquid is in there, I think we're going to be okay without adding anything here. So this is where you want to add the little lid. So you just kind of stuff it in the top. And if you need a little bit of extra weight on the top, what you can actually do is take this jar that I was using to press it down, and you can put it on there, and you can actually add like some water or some sort of weight if you want. I guess you could put rocks in there. I don't know if I'd recommend that, but you can add some water to it, and then the weight of that will help to keep it pressed down. Alright, so now that you're at this point, you're pretty much done all the work that you need to do. It's time to just let the bacteria do all of its work. So you just want to put it in your house somewhere that you can observe it. It doesn't have to be in the dark or anything like that. You want the temperature to be kind of consistent and between 18 and 22 degrees Celsius. So that's right around room temperature. Should work just fine. And the rate of fermentation is gonna differ depending on how much salt there is in here, the temperature of it, and a whole bunch of different factors. So after about a week or so, you're gonna notice some bubbles and everything start to form, and that's totally normal. If you want, you can press it down a little bit to get some of those bubbles out, but they should like bubble up naturally without you having to do anything. So now I'm gonna show you guys some extra things that you can put in there, like I said, to make it more delicious and to make it even more healthy. So I'm gonna add some grated carrots to this one. As long as it's a carbohydrate-rich vegetable, you should be able to add it to this. So I know carrots are one of the traditional things, so I know this is gonna work. I'm not sure how the color is gonna go with the purple cabbage, or sorry, the red cabbage, but I guess we'll find out. So another thing that I'm gonna be adding to this is some grated ginger. This is another pretty traditional ingredient to add to sauerkraut. And not only is it great for your digestion, it adds some great flavor and a bit more bite to it as well. What the heck? Where's my other knife? And then of course, garlic is another ingredient you can add that will add some nice flavor and some more health benefits. And then of course, you just want to work it all in there, just like you did with all the cabbage. Same thing. Ooh, it smells good. So caraway seeds are another kind of traditional ingredient that you could add to this. I don't have any right now, but it's another option. Fennel is another one that you could add. Dill is another really traditional ingredient. And I also read that you can add some sliced apple if you want to add some sweetness to it. I've never done it with apple though, so I'll leave that one up to you guys. Man, I'm loving how this looks with the carrots and everything in it. I don't know if they're gonna stay orange throughout the whole thing, but it looks pretty sweet. Black pepper, that's another one that I read you could add in here. And if there's any ingredients that you guys like to add to your sauerkraut or that you read about, definitely let me know in the comments down below, because I'm always open to suggestions.
So the wide mouth mason jars are especially nice for this because they're really easy to pack it in there. And I know they do sell some like special lids online that you can use that, you know, let it kind of like off gas and that sort of thing, but I don't know, I've never done that and never had any problems. And we're gonna press it down again. And then again, we'll cut the little sort of lid hat thing for it. So I'm just making it a tiny bit bigger than the mouth of the mason jar, just so that it kind of sits in there and seals it up nicely. All right, just like with the last batch, just press it down and make sure that it's all submerged. It looks pretty funky. I bet a lot of you guys are out there being like, does this guy even know what he's doing here? But trust me, I've done this like twice, so I'm basically a professional at this point. And look how nice that one looks with all the carrots and the ginger and everything in there. This one I think is gonna be really good, but I'm glad I made both because it'll be kind of cool to be able to compare the difference. All right, now on top of the fridge you go as well. All right, so that's it. Like I mentioned, it's probably gonna take at least a week or so for anything to start to happen. You might wanna start checking it after 2 weeks or so, and then I would say leave it at least 20 days up to about a month. In between that amount of time is probably gonna be the best. And yeah, I kind of don't want to wait that long to post this video, so I'm just gonna post it now. But if you guys want to, you know, check on it and see how it's doing and everything, definitely like follow me on Instagram because I'll be checking on it periodically and I'll let you guys know how it is and everything once it's done. I mean, I know it's gonna be amazing. I've made this sauerkraut before. But yeah, and I will probably put it into a video, you know, once it's all done. I'll definitely be adding it to my meal, so you guys will see it again. So keep in mind, it doesn't work out perfectly every single time. It will take a little bit of practice. I've made it a few times now and I've never had any problems, but I know of some people that have, and you just have to like try again. Maybe try something different, make sure everything's really clean, maybe add a little bit more salt, but you will learn as you go. So if you notice it getting like brown, slimy, moldy, or if it starts to smell like yeasty or anything like that, you might want to throw it out and start again. It is pretty cheap. Cabbage is pretty cheap, and you do want to use organic cabbage if you can, because as you know, non-organic cabbage is going to be sprayed and it might not have as much of that beneficial bacteria on the actual cabbage leaves. Once it's at the point where it's like sour enough for you and you feel like it's fermented enough, put a lid on it and then put it in the fridge, and that'll stop the fermentation process and it should be good for a while. And then just enjoy it on top of your salads, just on its own if you want, on the side of a stir fry, whatever. You don't want to cook it because that'll kill off some of the beneficial bacteria, so try and eat it raw if you can. So I think that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something about making sauerkraut. I mean, I'm sure you did if you clicked on this video. And if you have anything to teach me or teach us about making sauerkraut, definitely leave it in the comments down below so that we can all learn. And thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely like the video, it helps me out. Subscribe so you can see more from me. And I will see you soon with another video.